Situated on 400 hectares of rolling pasture amongst stunning native bush and valleys in one of the most beautiful places in New Zealand is an amazing success story in the goat milking industry that's been built up with over 40 years of dedication and incredible Kiwi ingenuity. Now being the second largest supplier of a world-leading infant formula cooperative, selling to over 23 countries worldwide, with a herd of 1,500 milking does, state-of-the-art facilities, and the world's best disease-free livestock. Judy and Barry were originally milking dairy cows. Barry had always wanted goats, so once they were married and farming on their own, they bought their first 2 milking does and started learning from them and started reading up on goats and goat's milk products. Goat's milk, being more similar to human milk than cow's milk, makes better infant formula. It's high in calcium and fatty acids, but low in cholesterol. It absorbs nutrients and minerals better. The protein and fat particles in goat's milk are easier to digest and have fewer allergenic proteins, so cause less inflammation than cow's milk, and in many countries it's used exclusively for infant feeding. It doesn't have the yellow colour of cow's milk because the goat converts this to vitamin A, which is good for babies and great for skin. They could see that it was something better than cow's milk and started buying up goats, and in 1979 they bought their first dairy farm to start milking goats. They had 82 does to kid, and the milk was frozen into blocks. With the start of fresh milk pickups, then followed by infant formula sales, the pace was picking up. More goats were reared and another milking shed designed. The big problem was internal parasites. Goats never develop a resistance to them, and the chemical drenches are not wanted in goats being milked for infant formula. Infant formula needed to be from the best milk, from disease-free, healthy animals able to select their own clean feed. So along came zero grazing. Plastic barns were built, and conveyor belts became their dinner plates. The bedding became dry wood shavings. The grass was harvested 3 times a day and fed along the conveyor belts, and the internal parasite life cycle was broken, and drenching became a thing of the past. With plenty of fresh air, natural lighting and no parasites, plus plenty of room to roam, the goats went from 30 to 120 kilos per doe in milk solids. The herd had been well formed before the CAE disease arrived in New Zealand. It's been kept closed to prevent CAE, with only a handful of bought-in bucks selected from herds that they trusted. These have been isolated from the herd, carefully screened and tested before and after use. They were used over a small number of does to get some new genetics. From 1992, AgResearch in Hamilton has been contracted to correlate their herd test results and record all of the animals. The farm had been herd testing since 1979. With the whole herd on their database, along with all the ancestry, AgResearch and the Foots have been able to develop a very comprehensive breeding value that ranks each goat according to age, weight, ancestry, and protein production. A 90-bale Dairy Master goat rotary was imported from Ireland, the 4th one built in the world. The milking time greatly improved. Happy goat, happy milker. The next step in 2006 was to use DNA profiling technology on all the herd. This guaranteed parentage. Then in 2016, the whole herd was genotyped again, using genotyping by sequencing, both for pedigrees and also genomic selection, to predict the newborn kid's milking potential, protein production, and more. All of this, along with rigorous health monitoring, means they can command good prices for their goats in both New Zealand and overseas markets. The farm utilises all flat, cultivatable land for grass production. The hill country is used for beef finishing, and the steeper country is either left in large stands of beautiful native bush or planted in pine or eucalyptus for timber. The river that flows through the property has trout and native glowworms along its banks. There are stunning rural views from all over the farm, and it's situated only 15 minutes from some of Northland's best East Coast beaches. They built an adobe home using earth off the farm. This unique building material has exceptional thermal properties. The ceilings and kitchen are made from beautiful totara logs, cut and milled on the farm. Over 40 years, neighbouring farms have been purchased. sitting at 394 hectares with a share entitlement of 170,000 milk solids, milking 1,500 does, employing 11 full-time staff. With very good staff retention, Barry and Judy have been able to leave them to do their jobs. The farm has a lot of room for growth. This is an ideal time for some new young blood to grab hold and kick it up another gear. Rearing 1,200 doe kids this season, 600 of those replacements, the other 600 of lower breeding value, reared to sell. In May 2017, the last 74 hectares was purchased with a view to setting up a second dairy goat farm. The land is peat, flat, perfect for cutting to feed goats. Currently, it's used for annual maize production in the spring-summer months to carry home to the main farm as earlage. Harvesting and storing the 1,050 tonne of earlage in long plastic tunnels, the earlage replaces brought-in maize grain. During the winter season, this land is put into an annual ryegrass, harvested into baleage and carted to the home farm. The Dairy Goat Cooperative is now owned by 72 goat farmers, whose farms are in some of New Zealand's richest pastures. Judy and Barry Foot's life has revolved around goats and goat's milk. From the first 2 goats they bought, they've been taken over by their personalities. They've milked them, drank goat's milk from the day they arrived, fed their children with goat's milk, and every unsuspecting visitor as well. They've worked hard to improve the lives of their goat herd and bred towards a strong goat with good milk production. The results are exciting. Every year, it's added to their knowledge and success.